just rest up for the resurrection.
We knew this guy Breeze.
Around the way on the block, niggas call me Breeze.
Breathe.
As we all saw in the season finale of Raising Kanan, Breeze, the character that we've all been anticipating for so long, is finally here. And I feel like he's about to cause a lot of trouble for a lot of the big players in Southside Jamaica Queens. And obviously, as many of you already know, there was a lot of speculation about who this character could have been. I feel like it wasn't always supposed to be Shamik Moore who portrayed the character. I feel like over time, they were clearly teasing other characters in the show that could have potentially have been Breeze, because the showrunner Sasha Penn was talking about this character 2 years ago. And I feel like within those 2 years, the showrunner was testing waters with different actors to see who could have been the best fit to play Breeze. I feel like Sasha Penn was just simply looking for the right actor ever since he made that post to his Instagram back in early 2023, and it makes sense if he felt that some of the characters that he was testing the waters with just didn't feel like they were meant to be Breeze. I feel like we saw a lot of subtle hints when it came to Ronnie being Breeze, and we also saw a lot of shifts and character development coming from Unique as well. While I was hoping for it to be Unique, Season 4 showed me why it's better for Breeze to be someone else. I feel like Unique comes off as someone that's very stubborn. He's a very stubborn person, and he seems to be obsessed with the idea of Raquel betraying him. And like I've said before, I just feel like Unique is not the same person anymore. He's never going to be the same person, and he clearly has some type of trauma in his brain that's not allowing him to see past whatever he believes himself. And I believe that this will eventually cost him everything in the end. Especially now with everything that's happened with Stefano. Many people think that just because Unique bounced back and is in a good spot right now, that he's untouchable. But there's a major clue that proves something very, very bad will end up happening to Unique and to his family. This major clue is the famous Easter egg that comes from a classic mob film called The Godfather. It is by many filmmakers considered the greatest film of all time, but if you know this film very well, you will know that oranges have a significant meaning in the film. Oranges basically confirm that a character is going to meet a violent end in the film. For example, when we see Don Corleone buying oranges in the first Godfather film, what happens a couple seconds later? He is shot. He is fatally shot. He didn't die at the scene, but the attack would eventually lead up to his death. Now, who did we just see buying oranges and Raising Kanan? This right here wasn't just in here by accident. This is a famous Easter egg that's in a lot of classic gangster films, and they showed it in the scene between Pernessa and Unique for a reason. Notice how in this particular scene, we see that the orange falls from Pernessa, but it rolls over to Unique, and he picks it up, which is basically confirming to us that both of their characters will meet a violent end in the next season. And it could be a result of Unique risking everything to save Pernessa. And in the process, he ends up getting killed too. But if the orange rolled away from Pernessa and to Unique, it could also be telling us that Unique sacrifices himself to save Pernessa's life. Similar to how we saw Jerome sacrifice himself to save Louis in Snowfall. Like I said, oranges are a huge classic Easter egg in a lot of the classic gangster films whenever they're showing someone who's about to get killed. And this isn't anything new in the Power universe. We've also seen it in the scene with Proctor right before Tommy took him out. What do we see in the scene? Oranges. What happens a couple of minutes later? Proctor gets killed. Now, where else did we see something like this? Take a very close look at this scene.
Your last payment to me was at the old price.
This is Quan. Here's the oranges. What happens a couple episodes later in this exact same setting? Quan gets killed. Like I said, oranges are a big Easter egg, basically confirming to us that a character that we see with oranges is going to meet a violent end. Since Raquel was also part of the scene, this also confirms that something violent will most likely end up happening to her in this next season. And as we all saw in the leak, she does end up getting shot. So the fact that she was also part of the scene with the orange could confirm that she's going to meet a violent end in this next season. Think about it. This is a classic Easter egg that's in a lot of gangster films. And it's not in here by accident. Sacha Penn, he's Italian. The Italians came up with this Easter egg. Just go check out the classic gangster films if you want. Now, when we're talking about Unique's death, so many things can happen. Obviously, we know now that Lou already has Pernessa. But now that we know from the leak that Raquel does in fact end up getting shot in the scene where Kanan confronts her, and we know that she ends up in the hospital, Raquel's death could be the thing that motivates Lou to finish the job. Now, much like we saw with Monet, there's still a possibility that Raquel survives this attack, but it foreshadows a future attack, and I doubt that her and Breeze won't have any tension. Their characters are too big for this series for them to never have a confrontation. Think about it. We know how Raquel feels about Kanan being in the streets, so I do feel like there's going to be some tension between her and Breeze if she survives that attack that Kanan had on her. And I feel like Breeze is not going to like that Raquel, she's getting in the way of his business. Think about it. So there's definitely going to be some type of tension between them. And just based on the way that things are going, things might not end up looking too good for Raquel. Now, as far as who exactly ends up killing Unique, there are a number of different possibilities that can play out now that Breeze is in the picture. Keep in mind that Breeze is still new to Southside. And although he is the nephew of Snaps and Pops, I feel like he's still going to want to prove himself to them. And I can definitely see him teaming up with Kanan, Uncle Lou, and Uncle Marvin to take out Unique. Based on the shot where we see Kanan and Jukebox looking nervous, something tells me that this particular scene is going to be immediately after Kanan shoots Raquel. And I feel like in this scene, they're basically going to keep what happened between them a secret, so that Uncle Marvin and Lou won't find out that he was the one who shot her. This could also explain why Jukebox eventually wanted to leave Southside behind and relocate to DC, because she couldn't keep things a secret anymore. As we can see in the leak, Raquel does end up getting shot in the chest, and as we all know, shots to the chest are very, very fatal. But Tina Miller has also already publicly said goodbye to the character, saying that she had a great time portraying the character for 4 seasons. It's possible that we just see her in the first episode of season 5 in critical condition, and to be honest, when you really think about the storyline, it wouldn't make sense for Raquel to survive, which is what I said a long time ago, because Ghost and Tommy never talked about Raquel. They never mentioned her, which basically means that when Breeze was around, Raquel wasn't really out there anymore. She's definitely going to most likely die in the first episode of season 5, which is going to motivate Lou to take on Unique, because from his perspective, he's going to see Unique as being the person responsible for killing her, since he already knew where to find her. Remember that scene.
If Nick is coming at Job, or Kanan, or Juke, you gotta fuck with me first.
He knows that he knew her address, and he knew that he had tension with her, that they had problems with each other. Now that we saw Kanan meet with Unique, they're obviously going to have a closer relationship with each other, but as we all know, Breeze is now in Southside Jamaica, Queens, and I doubt that Breeze and Unique won't have a problem with each other because the producers seem to have teased something potentially happening between Unique and Snaps and Pops.
Let us talk amongst ourselves and we'll get back to you.
Well, look, if we're gonna do this shit, we need to move quick.
He said we get back to you. Now head home to your coffin or your crypt or wherever undead motherfucker like you rest their head, okay? Let the adults talk.
We all know that Breeze is their nephew, and I doubt that the two of them won't have any problems. Whenever we see two big characters like this in a series like this, there's always going to be a power struggle between them, and I want to go to something I mentioned before. Much like Unique is an interpretation of Majestic from Get Rich or Die Trying, I believe that Breeze is also an interpretation from this character. And remember, this character ended up killing Majestic, because Majestic got better towards 50 Cent in that particular film. I can see a similar scenario playing out like this in Raising Kanan because I don't really see Unique and Breeze getting along. I don't think that's how the story is going to play out based on all of the different clues that they've shown us already. And I can only see Raising Kanan ending with Breeze completely taking over. And at the end of the day, this could cost Snaps and Pops everything that they built. Because much like we've seen them try to manipulate Kanan, we shouldn't doubt that they wouldn't try to do the same with Breeze. And I feel like being manipulated is something that Breeze is not going to tolerate. And if there's anything that we know about Breeze is that this guy was the mentor to Ghost and Tommy. He taught them everything that he knew. Snaps and Pops might think that they could get away with manipulating him here and there, but I feel like that's just going to be their biggest mistake, and I feel like it's going to cost them everything in Season 5. That's going to be their karma. Remember, there's a lot of family betrayal and power, and we need to see that coming from Breeze if he's the person who taught Ghost, Tommy, and Kanan everything. And when you really think about it, I don't think that Snaps and Pops were necessarily around when Ghost and Tommy were around because they also never even talked about them. But yeah, guys, this is pretty much what I'll be expecting to see between Breeze and Unique in this next upcoming season. There's still a good chance that Uncle Lou may be the one who delivers the final blow on Unique. But let me know your thoughts and predictions down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you for watching.